What is up, everybody? Enderheart here, back with a Cipher Secret fanfiction reading, and today we will be reading chapter 21 of Cipher Secret. And sorry I've been out of bounds technically on the whole YouTube scale. I haven't uploaded in 2 months. I've been extremely busy, and if you would like more activity or previews, follow me on my social medias in the link in the description. All the links down there, and etc. So let's get right into this fanfiction reading. I'm really excited for this. Okay, so now what? The three were staring at the secret passageway like it was some kind of haunted house, mainly because it was plainly dark inside there, and Daniel swore he had heard cries and screams coming from there. At first, it didn't sound scary at all, just a bit weird. Who would find a normal secret wall coming from under the floor? However, everything started to get terrifying when the door actually opened. Dana was fairly amused, to be honest, and Azaf was eager to go inside. It's like he could throw himself inside the passageway without any hesitation. But for Daniel, he was scared to hell, especially because the stairs that leaded downstairs looked scary. "We enter, Einstein," Dana answered, smirking. Daniel's eyes widened. It was pretty obvious for both that he did not want to enter there, especially because he had hated dark places. So, when his sister said that, he took a step back and shot her a skeptical glare. Maybe she was doing this just for the pleasure of seeing him scared out of his mind. Daniel knew his sister and knew how she was. He really loved Dana because she was his sister, but sometimes he really wanted to rip her head off due to the headache she caused him. "Heck, I'm not gonna enter there," the male twin answered, narrowing his eyes. "Don't you guys watch horror movies? It's obvious something's gonna happen inside there, and I don't want to be in there to experience this." Azaf sighed and put a hand on his friend's shoulder. "Dan, look. We haven't reached this far for nothing. We've decoded a few messages for now. Why would you want to give up? The summer is starting, and we've seen lots of things, experienced lots of things. Being a demon's apprentice is just the beginning. Look at all the things we can decode and see by entering there. Yes, these are risks, but look at all the positive things." The black-haired boy was trying his best to convince Daniel to enter. The boy was really good at noticing things too, and his best quality was the agility, because Daniel was impressively fast at moving and could easily dodge any attacks. He did karate, hence the speed. "Of course, if you don't want to go, we won't force you." "Actually, yes, we will, so move on." And Dana pushed him down the stairs. As Daniel fell to the floor without any injury, but with a serious back pain, he immediately growled and controlled himself. "Don't punch Dana, don't punch Dana," the redhead said mentally as he kept his eyes closed. He did not want to see his surroundings, and to start a fight with his sister would make everything worse. With the sound of footsteps coming from next to him, Daniel didn't know if he should relax or tense up. He had his eyes closed, so it was hard for him to know if that was their friends or some monster. "Seriously, bro, just man up. There's nothing here." That was obviously Dana. Daniel sighed and opened his eyes, facing the two silhouettes in front of him. He was really mad at his twin, but couldn't do anything about it right now. Azaf was looking the other direction, probably analyzing the place and letting them alone for now. Daniel slowly stood up, checking if there was some kind of roof in there, and narrowed his eyes at Dana. "Dana, you know I'm afraid of dark places," he stated. "Well, you're not afraid of the mindscape," Dana retorted, smirking. Well, that was a point, as the mindscape was a pitch-black covered place, though it didn't seem right now. Daniel tried to think of something to retort, but his mind was literally blank. So all he did was cross his arms as his twin sister's smirk became visible. "See, I have a point." Daniel shook his head. There was no way he would let Dana win this argument, especially because he had always won, not her. It's different, okay? We could summon things in the mindscape and... Wait a second. We could summon things. Daniel remembered with his wide eyes. Of course, his sister had summoned a baseball hat to hit him with, so he could probably summon a flashlight or something. Meanwhile, Dana frowned. What does summoning have to do with this? Oh, of course. "Dana, can you summon a flashlight?" "Why do I have to do it?" Dana asked. Her voice had a cool tone, though. "Can't you do it yourself? I'm kinda lazy now." Daniel rolled his eyes. Why did he already expect that kind of answer from Dana? The redhead rubbed the back of his head and inhaled deeply, feeling the smell of dust and old books coming from wherever they were. Feeling the smell of dust and old books coming from wherever they were, whilst trying to think of something he could tell his sister. He didn't want to make her feel superior, but he also didn't want to lie. Maybe telling the truth is better. Because you do it better than me, he murmured quickly, but by Dana's smirk, she had heard it clearly. That's what I wanted to hear. The redhead female twin closed her eyes and snapped her fingers. In a blink, a flashlight appeared in her hands. Here, big baby. Daniel snatched the flashlight from her hands, murking a thank you, moron, and turned it on. The lights illuminated the room long enough for them to see what was around. There were a few skeletons around the floor, which sent shivers down Daniel's spine and made Dana snicker at him. But when they looked up, Dana paled. There were lots of spider webs and spiders there. She shrieked. Ha! Spiders! She shouted. Ha! Who's the big baby now? Daniel smirked. He wasn't afraid of spiders at all, but Dana had arachnophobia, which meant she feared spiders for her life. Quite ironic for a demon and a fox mixed into one person. Danielle remembered the times where he used to trick Dana with fake spiders on her bed and such. Well, that was payback for almost killing him when she pretended to be death itself and turned off the lights, and both ended up grounded. Well, back to the story. Dana was awakened from her trance with Azaf's voice. Guys, look at this! The twins joined Azaf as Daniel used the flashlight in his hands to illuminate the room better. In front of them was a gigantic double door. Help me out. Azaf commanded as they started to push the double door, which was really heavy. When the door finally opened, they had reached another room. This one was illuminated by torches attached to the wall, which meant a flashlight wasn't needed anymore. And then Daniel turned it off, put it into his jacket pocket, and in the middle of the room, there were tiles. Each tile had a different symbol, which was a very confusing thing. The horizontal row had 7 tiles, as the vertical row had 12 tiles. The trio approached the tiles, but kept a fair distance from them as well. But suddenly, the door behind them closed itself, making the fire coming from the torches flick frantically, almost daring to extinguish themselves. Daniel was praying for that to never happen. He hated the dark almost as much as wars, death, and vegetables. Okay, let's go, Dana said as she started walking towards the tiles. Dana, wait! Azaf shouted, but the redhead didn't seem to listen. She stepped on the 4th tile from the first row, but as she did that, putting all her weight on the tile, it collapsed under her feet, making her fall. And she was about to fall into the hole caused by the tile. Somebody grabbed her hand, and this somebody was Azaf. Daniel also helped him, and then the 3 of them were on the floor, far away from the tiles, breathing hard in shock. I told you to wait! How deaf are you? The black-haired boy scolded, narrowing his eyes. Dana rolled her eyes as they faced what was under the tiles, a dungeon full of snakes. Poisonous ones. Waiting. Those are just simple words, she said. Besides, I don't have patience. Well, your lack of patience almost killed you, her twin warned through gritted teeth as he stood up. Dana would be his end, without a doubt. Azaf, you're the brains, so what do we do now? The raven-haired boy stood up and walked to the tiles, with his feet just a few millimeters from them. He analyzed the symbols carefully so he wouldn't miss anything. Each symbol was weirder than the previous one, and there were lots of them. Christian symbols, ancient symbols, Nordic symbols. There were a few symbols he couldn't recognize. Wait, were these symbols? I think I get it, Azaf said, his face completely stoic with and lacking emotion, as this was a crucial moment. Dana, come here. Wait, why me? You already know the answer. Azaf rolled his eyes as Dana sighed and stood near him. He turned to Daniel. Pass me the flashlight, please. Daniel tossed Azaf the flashlight, watching everything from a safe distance, near enough for him to see what was happening. Dana, you shall step on the tiles that I illuminate with this flashlight. It's the simplest thing you can do. Trust me on this one. Dana nodded, sighing. Now she was a little scared. And there it is, the fear of death again. Maybe that's a new weakness, Daniel thought, watching his sister carefully. Azaf pointed the flashlight to the 3rd tile of the first row. The symbol drawn on it was a full moon, Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon. Dana closed her eyes and took the first step. Impressively, the tile didn't collapse like the previous one. Azaf pointed the flashlight to the next row. Hecate, goddess of magic, he said again. The tile had a drawing of a wand with sparkles. Dana took a leap of faith before stepping on this one. It didn't collapse either. The next one had a glass with some liquid inside. Amino, goddess of wine. This time Dana was more confident of herself. She stepped on the tile and it did not collapse. The next tile had a magnifying glass. Oasis, goddess of mystery. Whoa, Daniel murmured with wide eyes and a smile. Avzef's really Greek-wise, huh? It was more of a statement than a question. Thalia, goddess of festivity. Azef said as he pointed the flashlight to a tile with balloon. Dana jumped on it. She decided to trust Azef with this one. Don't disappoint me, Af. If I die, I'll kill you, she thought. Izio, goddess of healing. The black-haired boy pointed to the tile with the bandage. Dana stepped on this one. Nesioi, goddess of islands. He pointed the flashlight's light to a tile with an island. Dana jumped on this one carefully. Gaia, creator of the universe. He pointed to the flashlight to the tile with the planet Earth on it. Do you have to keep saying the names of the goddesses? Dana asked in an annoyed tone. It's getting annoying. Yes, maybe you can learn something with this, Azef answered. Selene, the goddess of the moon. Again, he didn't need to point the flashlight to the next symbol. Dana stepped on the tile with the moon drawing naturally. Thalia, he simply repeated. Dana stepped on the tile with a balloon. Whoa! I'm learning something. Gosh! I never thought this would happen, the redhead thought. Arcane, the goddess of spiders. But Dana didn't move from her spot. Dana, step on the tile, Azef said, pointing to the tile with the spider on the flashlight. When he received no answer, he just turned to face Daniel, expecting him to answer. After all, Dana was his twin. He ought to know something about her. She's afraid of spiders, he whispered. Oh, Azef turned to Dana, who was frozen in place. Dana, close your eyes and step on the tile. Come on, we need to keep moving. But Dana didn't move, but she looked like she had her eyes closed, so at least half of his order was fulfilled. No, I refuse to move, she declared, crossing her arms and pouting. Are you scared? Azef taunted. It's not like I'm scared or something. I'm just rebelling, you know, 'cause I'm a rebel teenager. I sleep 1 minute after my bedtime 'cause I'm a rebel. And so she stayed this way. Then he had an idea. Well, if you don't move, you'll get caught by that spider next to you. Dana opened her eyes in a flash and jumped onto the next tile, barely losing her balance and falling on another tile. Fortunately, the first tile she jumped on was the right one. Good. Last one, Azef announced. Dana nodded. Let's end this shit, she thought. Road. Sea nymph. He pointed his flashlight to a tile with a wave drawing. Dana finally stepped on this one, eager to finish, and then she stepped on the last tile, accidentally losing her balance and hitting a golden button on the wall just as the whole room started to tremble. Did I just cause an earthquake again? Dana thought. The tiles started to move to the sides of the walls, entering inside them, and then they were replaced with normal tiles that formed a floor. Whoa, the three murmured, astonished. Then Dana looked at Azef. Hey Azef, can you tell me the order of the goddesses again? Sure, Azef said as he and Daniel started crossing the room. They are Selene, Hecate, Onio, Oisius, Thalia, Iso, Nesoi, Gaia, Selene, Thalia, Arcane, and Rhode. Why do you ask? Dana closed her eyes, focusing on the names. She started murmuring out loud a few things. Daniel and Azef exchanged glances as they wondered what in the world she was doing. Dana? Azef asked, raising an eyebrow. What was she doing? She barely thought or wondered about something at all. She barely put effort into anything she did. Dana finally opened her eyes and nodded at them. Do you guys notice the sequel forms the words shooting star?